In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use a cutoff wheel for a Dremel properly. The most important thing you have to understand before using this is the concept of hardness. You can only cut things that are less harder than the actual cutting wheel. So in this case, whatever you're cutting, it should be less harder than this cutting wheel. Otherwise, the cutting wheel will become dull. For example, let me show you this wheel which I've used to cut things that are slightly harder and the actual tip has worn off. So how do you know whether the item that you're cutting is harder than the actual blade? A simple trick you can use is to just try to scratch the item with this blade. For example, just to check if you can cut a piece of glass with this blade, all you have to see is to check whether you can scratch the actual glass with this blade. So in this case, if I try to scratch it, you won't be able to scratch the glass. That means this glass is harder than this blade. Typically, you can only cut plastic, wood, or any soft material with these kind of blades. This is a hardened blade, but still I won't recommend cutting metal because it'll just wear your blade off very fast. So how do you know whether this blade is hard? All you have to do is to check whether this thing is attracted to a magnet. In this case, it is not. So this blade is most likely made of stainless steel. To check whether it's of a good quality, all you have to do is to take a drill bit or something you know for sure is a hard material and try to scratch it. So in this case, with just light pressure, I am able to scratch this blade. This means that you won't be able to cut hard materials with this blade. For example, if you don't have that, you can also try grinding stones. This is for sure harder than this material. This is aluminum oxide. I'll show you how easily you can scratch this blade with this aluminum oxide. Very easily you can scratch it. Let me talk about the materials that you can cut with this. You can cut any kind of plastic, wood, any soft material, wax. All those things can easily be cut with this cutoff saw. Towards the end of this video, I'll also be trying to cut aluminum with this blade. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to do it, but then let's see. As you can see, this is probably stamped out steel or laser cut steel. Hence the actual tip, it's not that pointed, it's mostly rounded off. You can attach these blades onto these mandrels. These are just screw-on mandrels. You just have to make sure that the actual blade is centered and that the screws are actually of the right size so that there's not much of a play. The other important thing that you have to take into consideration is your safety. Always make sure to use a mask and a protective eye equipment. And the other thing is that whatever workpiece you are trying to cut, if you are not a pro or if you're not used to cutting wheels, Dremels and etc., try to use something to hold the workpiece properly. Make sure it's clamped properly. You can either use a plier or a bench vise. Before turning on the machine, make sure that the speed setting has been set to 1, the lowest speed, just to ensure that you're safe. Once it's turned on, you can increase the speed as required. So let's just try to cut a pencil here. This is a piece of pencil. Let me just try to cut it. As you can see, it's cutting very slow. So in this case, you can increase the speed. Now I'll be cutting a piece of plastic here. This piece of aluminum, I'm not sure whether I'll be able to cut it, but then let's see. It was definitely able to cut it, but I don't think this is the right tool to cut aluminum, mainly because I felt like the blade is getting dull with more and more pressure that I was applying. Let's just take a look at the blade. There's not much damage on the blade, mainly because I stopped cutting the aluminum